Welcome to Reddit Aliens. What's your family's darkest secret? Not safe for work? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. My granddad had 7 kids with 3 different mistresses while married to my nan. My cousin is actually my mom's half-brother. He would hit her if she spoke up or said anything. My granddad told my family when my nan fainted in the kitchen, he watched TV for another 20 minutes before she woke up. When she woke up, she begged him to take her to the hospital, but didn't want to waste fuel, so he called his friend, who took around 20 minutes to get to their home so they could drive to the hospital. My nan died on the way to the hospital. We don't know which friend drove them to the hospital, nor which hospital they drove to, and her cause of death is still unknown. This happened around 6 months ago and it still hurts. He lied about how my nan died before her funeral and told his kids, including my mother, to get over it. He stole part of the money for her funeral and spent it on his mistress. No one talks to him. He is an absolute piece of shit. He was so flippant at the funeral. His wife of 40 years died, and he doesn't care. My nan refused to leave him as she loved him, even though he cheated. He is a despicable piece of shit. When I was around 7, a tsunami hit my home country, which messed with the shitty third world government data system, or so I was told, and deleted the real me from existence. My mom took this opportunity to change my name and birthday, then moved my ass to the US, where I now live with my makeshift identity. If you ask me, she missed her chance to raise an undercover and very personal hitman. My 11-year-old cousin got pregnant, then was in Dr. Phil's trash TV show. Her aunt adopted the baby, and 12-ish years later, they haven't told her any of this. She's seen pics of her mom from when she was a kid, and she doesn't remember taking the picture. They look identical. My great-great-uncle allegedly ran an illegal abortion clinic in the early 1900s out of a barn on the property my parents now own. Supposedly, he would perform operations in the barn, which still stands today, using crude tools and coat hangers, then toss the remains in a seasonal spring so the bodies would disappear underground at the end of the rainy season. To be fair, I've never seen any actual evidence this is true, just rumors in my family and the occasional mumblings around the older folks in the town I grew up in. The spring where the remains were apparently dumped was blasted with dynamite in the 30s and used as a town garbage dump for the next 40 years, and the barn was abandoned and left to deteriorate a long time ago, so any remaining evidence is long gone. Also, my great-great-granddad probably murdered my great-great-grandma. She mysteriously disappeared while they were out on a walk together after he had spent the day beating her in front of my great-granddad. Her body was never found. It's almost hard to imagine how, before like the 1930s, if you killed some people, that you could get caught. I mean, standards and technology were just so different that you could just take somebody for a walk and never saw her again. I'm a male in my mid-50s, and I've never known who my father was. I was 27 years old when I went to visit the man I thought was my father, and he told me I wasn't. My mom and him divorced when I was 2 years old, and I have no memories of ever living with him. I saw him once when I was in 4th grade at a funeral, and then again when I was in 7th grade at another family member's funeral. The next time I saw him was when I was 27 years old, and that's when I found out he wasn't my father. My mom always said things like, "You're not missing anything with him. Be glad he's not in your life," etc. All along, she was protecting herself. After I found out the man I thought was my father wasn't, when I talked to my mom about it, she simply wouldn't talk to me about it, not one word, at all. Ever. I've never seen a picture of my real father, never known even his first name, etc. That man was my younger sister's father, though. My grandfather, I never was close with him in any way. He was an SA officer during World War II. To his death, he always said war was the best time of his life. People feared him and knew his name. He never stopped calling himself a Nazi. My father left home as soon as possible. As a teen, he chose to go to boarding school. When he talked about the war, he always told the story of how he got in Russian captivity. He always told the story how he got a horse and had ridden home from Russia to Austria. The horse he traded for food and money, he told us. Money he used to study and to become a lawyer. I'm pretty sure the money came from another place than the mystical horse, not sure how, but many people got money during World War II, and it was not in a nice way by any means. My dad was banished from the family for converting to a Christian. My dad's brother secretly would visit us and give money and gifts. My staunch upper caste Hindu granddad found out, threatened my uncle, and when he didn't obey, had him killed. Whoa. My cousin took my baby cousin, maybe 3 to 4 at the time, upstairs Christmas, and nobody really noticed till a little while later. My uncle went to get the little boy, his son, and my older cousin was playing doctor with him. We're the same age, and we're like 12 at the time, so I feel she knew it was wrong. Nobody ever spoke of it again, but my uncle cut off contact with that part of the family. Also, she just gave birth to a baby boy, so I don't know how to feel about that. I pray she's changed. I'm from the Balkans, and it's common for us to move to other countries to earn money. My great-grandfather moved to Argentina in the 1920s, and he was working there at a train station. He was writing letters to his family and sending money to his wife. 4 years later, my great-grandmother got a letter that my great-grandfather is dead. Now, I don't know if they told her what happened to him because neither of my grandparents are alive, and my father doesn't know much about it or doesn't want to talk about it. I think it's the latter. The theory was that he was robbed and killed, but no one knows for sure. And since the family didn't have the money or opportunity to bring his body home, we don't know to this day where he is buried and what exactly happened to him. Not really a secret, but it's rumored that one of my aunts euthanized my grandmother, who was dying of lung cancer at the time at 74 years of age. She died after being discharged from a long hospital stay while being driven home. This aunt had been taking care of her for years, and my other aunts and uncles plus my mother, 7 of them in total, quickly turned on her and accused her of killing my grandma so she could inherit the house. I don't have the specifics, but basically she flipped out and cursed them out, saying that they had some nerve saying shit while they all moved away across the country, and she was the only one taking care of their mother, while also raising and supporting 6 children and constantly having to defend herself from an abusive alcoholic husband. She also said something to the effect that my grandma had known it was time to go, and she was all for ending it quickly or some such, which the family took as evidence that she killed my grandma. Now that they're all old and 2 of the siblings have passed away, they're all kumbaya, but there's still the big resentment there, and they're still pretty crappy to each other, except for my gunkle, gay uncle. He's the kindest, bestest person I've ever met. But yeah, matricide. My father covered up the murder of a suspected communist rebel. My dad was interrogating the suspected rebel when he had to leave the room to use the bathroom. When he got back, the suspect was already dying due to beatings. It was his superiors who did it, but he could not prove it, nor do something about it. He rushed him to the hospital, but the suspected rebel had already died. My father talked to the doctor and asked him how he died. The doctor obviously said the obvious. It was due to numerous blunt force trauma to the head. My father took out his gun, waved it at the doctor, and told the doctor the rebel had a heart attack, and so the suspected rebel officially died of a heart attack. There were no investigations, but most of the police force don't give 2 shits about communist rebels anyway. This happened during the martial law years in the Philippines. The police and the military were too powerful and abusive. My dad was a bubbly choir boy compared to many of his comrades. My father went on to become a high-ranking officer. If he didn't do something illegal that time, they would pin that crime on him. Before my grand-grandfather's death, a son of his that no one knew about showed up and told the family that my grand-grandfather raped his mother 70 years ago. When my family confronted him about this, he confessed to rape not only his son's mother, but also another 17 more women, and he also said that he didn't feel anything and have no regrets because those women were, oh boy, black. After that, he cursed all of the members of the family, including my mother, saying that they should have never joined this family, and that his only regret was not killing them all before they tainted his family's name. He died like 2 hours after that. The confession shocked the family, because several members of our family are black, and the man never showed any racist thoughts, but apparently he was restraining himself for some reason. He never got to answer for this, but he didn't get a funeral, not even a coffin. His body was buried in the middle of nowhere, and no one has visited his grave ever since. My mom and dad had a child out of wedlock in college. My dad's parents pressured them to give her up for adoption. They eventually got married and had 4 more kids. I'm 30 and just found all of this out. It blows my mind, and we're now Facebook friends. She seems to have grown up in a very happy home. I hope she doesn't constantly wonder why they gave her away and kept their other 4 children. Makes me a bit sad. So somewhere out there you have a full-blooded sister, and she has 4 siblings. Hopefully you guys can make some type of bridge or build a relationship. Good luck. I found out a few years ago, just before the pandemic, that a name in my family doesn't mean what I thought it did, and is actually racially insensitive. I'd been told that it supposedly had something to do with the jobs that part of the family had at the time they took it, but the family who has it knew all along what it was, and was proud of it. Thankfully, I don't really contact that part of my family anymore for various reasons, but this absolutely solidified that I made the right choice. I have a few. My great-aunt married her first cousin and had a kid. My great-grandmother killed her husband. My gram killed a family when she was younger but won't talk about it much. She was drunk and told us while crying one night that her and her friends were teens, decided to go down the highway and push barrels off the back of a truck, making a car wreck, and killed some of the people in the car. None of them ever got caught, but I think they should have, but I never would have been born if she had been. One of our ancestors was really influential in the secession of South Carolina. Like, without him, the American Civil War would likely not have started, because he was a huge proponent of states can leave the Union at any time, and told this to lots of representatives throughout the South. Also, a great uncle of mine is the reason the death penalty is still on the books in North Carolina. His argument, his words not mine, was, Jesus let himself die on the cross, so he was okay with the death penalty. One of my mom's cousins was involved in a case where a white supremacist member, I don't know what group it was, got in a fight with a bunch of other rival white supremacists on meth and ended up getting killed and dismembered, some years older than him in California. One of my mom's cousins was involved in a case where a guy got in a fight with a bunch of rival white supremacists on meth and ended up getting killed and dismembered. I really wish I knew more about this one, but I'd have to ask my mom. After the death of her stepfather, who was an absolute piece of shit, my grandmother ran away for like 2 weeks and left my mom to take care of her 4 siblings. I think she was 16 or 17. Once my stepfather shouted at my mom that he had been looking for a way out of the relationship for 10 years. He didn't know I could hear. I was 10 years old at the time. I spent the first few years of my life living with my mom and bio dad, meaning that my mom was with my stepdad for at least part of the time she was with my dad. They did something together that my stepdad couldn't just walk away from. Years later in my 20s, my mom was drunk or high on painkillers or something and was bashing my stepdad. They had divorced by this point, and she referred to him as the sperm donor, since that's the only thing he ever did for us. She was talking about my stepdad, not my dad. I'm in my 30s now. My dad has passed away. My stepdad is out of the picture. My mom has cleaned up her life, but I have these memories. I'm pretty sure my mom and dad divorced because she cheated on him, and I don't know for sure who my dad is. I'm not even sure my brother is my full brother. Whatever happened back then though, my bio dad knew, and he never said anything. But I had no doubt in my mind that he loved me, and in my mind, he will always be my father. And if in your mind he was always your father, then that's who your father was. That's yours to decide. My entire family planned a murder of a molester. I haven't been told all the details, but he hurt my cousin, and my family got together on what was going to be done, as police hadn't done much at the time. Lots of upper military and veterans would do the dirty work, and my aunts, cousins, you name it, would solidify they hadn't done anything. The guys were on their way to finally do it. When they arrived at the place, the police were already there and had arrested the man. Police asked no questions. And I guess also my great-aunt killed her husband and made her daughter pull the trigger as a kid. Got away with it for 20 years until said daughter went to the police. The story made it on some TV show. My mother's uncle and cousin had a baby together in a very rural part of where she's from. The baby died in childhood. My mother found out about it as a kid by accident and spent her whole life trying to find the truth. And she only got the whole story recently by flying across the whole country and basically sneaking into the home where her mother's sole remaining childhood friend lived and getting the story out of her before any other family members could show up and stop her. My uncle tried to disembowel my aunt on her wedding day for allowing her first fiancé to commit suicide because she found out the fiancé was cheating on her with her brother. Whoa. His attempt was half-assed as usual. He also tried to shoot my mum several times, but again, always half-assed. My father pointed out anyone willing to have sex with either of them really didn't want to live. My SO was totally freaked out when he found my uncle passed out in my lap when he confused me with one of the hookers, but was reassured by my mum that uncle was always a dreamer. On my dad's side of the family, his mum drove his father to drink and suicide, and tried to have his sister committed and lobotomized because she was talking about how her mum's boyfriends sexually assaulted her. Mum argues that she didn't think mother-in-law actually ever killed anyone with her own hand, but she really did like to get people very upset. Oh, and several family members got money from the Nazis even though they were Jewish.